Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Behind the Music. So today we're here with Jennifer, so hi.
Good morning.
So let's start with you at 17. So you moved out at 17. How did that kind of shape the way you sort of like write about vulnerability and survival in a sense? Because I feel like that's such a young age to kind of be on your own.
That is a good question. I think it stems really in childhood, and my mom hates this, so I'm sorry, Mom, it's just facts. I grew up in a really chaotic environment, and I feel like they were just two young adults trying to figure out life and ending up in a toxic relationship. They broke it off when I was 3. She ended up in a worse relationship, and, you know, step-parents have a bad rep for a good reason. Well, not a good reason, but so survival, I feel like I've always been in survival mode, and moving out at 17 was actually very liberating in a sense that it opens up your mind to the real world, and like you're not forced to be in a certain type of dynamic or environment. And I self-reflect a lot, so I feel like I'm always overthinking about everything, and sometimes it's overwhelming. And I only started making music in 2019, but I was always a writer.
Yeah.
And I feel like externalizing and transmuting all my anxiety and heavy feelings makes me feel so much lighter and better, but it also helps me kind of like look from a third perspective on what's going on inside, and then I can kind of detach from it or try to change it. I feel like
And when you're writing like such vulnerable and like personal songs, is it ever like nerve-wracking for you to like release this to the world, knowing people like your mom will hear it and like know where it's stemming from, and like just how does it make you feel to know that people are going to know such deep parts of you?
Don't look at me. I have a 3rd house in Scorpio, so I don't want to be perceived.
No, I feel that.
I don't know. I feel different from when I first started. When I first started just posting videos about myself, I found it so cringe. And there comes a point where you're doing something that makes you feel good and alive and inspires you and gives you purpose. And so what people think doesn't really matter, because you're not arming anyone. You know, this is just like my perspective of things. So it's not necessarily the truth, it's my truth. And like my parents can dislike it, but it's how I perceived it. And it doesn't make them terrible people, because they were just trying their best at what they had. So I don't hold it against them. But it's good to talk about your own experience, because everyone's pain or vulnerability is so valid. And it's yours. But yeah, I think love songs are the ones that get me more.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I don't mind talking about existentialism or all the other stuff, but love songs is where I'm like, oh, why am I singing about this? Or like, ooh, the person's gonna know that like I felt so deeply about them, and they didn't care, or they didn't feel the same, or like my perception of things was like so delusional and like not the reality of things. So I feel kind of like, ooh, that's why I love passionate songwriters that sing about love. Like Aiden Bissett sings about love, Alzi, you know, like there are so many artists, but I love those people because they sing about what I'm so scared of singing about. Like my cheesy pop, rock, punk love songs, but that's my inner child. So I'm like, let's go to All American Rejects on them.
Have you ever written a song about someone and like they messaged you about it?
I don't know if they would know it's fully about them.
I have their suspicions.
I've had people assume that a song was about them, and I was like, no, not about you. But no, I think there's one song that was about someone, and they were like, oh, thank you for writing that. I didn't realize how bad it was of my behalf. And I was just like, yeah.
Wild. And who are some of your musical inspirations, whether it be lyrically, vocally, their sound?
It's so hard to pinpoint to like one person or even a group. And it was constantly like evolving. So like in high school, it was like the All American Rejects, Sum 41, Avril Lavigne, you know, like the Y2K 90s, 80s Nirvana kind of scene. Bob Marley was my soothing songs when I was riding my bike at night. And growing up, it's like the Beach Boys, the Beatles, Nina Simone, Elizabeth Cotton. I
actually don't know who that is.
She is an underrated Capricorn badass queen. And since we're still February, I think it's really important to highlight this. She like was self-taught and learned the guitar upside down. Okay. Initially tried to learn it from her brother, and she was like, "You don't know what you're doing." But she started as a maid, and then wrote songs really young, like 11. Okay. And she ended up performing until her late 80s and died still performing. And there's a live recording of Freight Train in Colorado. She's like 82, I think, and it's so emotionally charged, and it makes me cry every time I listen to it, because there's a baby in the crowd crying, and it's literally like about the circle of life and just her parcours. Yeah. And I find her so admirable because she fought so much her entire life and just till the end performed. And she wasn't necessarily like the best vocalist, but she was so good. Yeah. She really inspires me to just do what I love.
I need to look her up. Maybe I do know, but sometimes I'm so bad with names.
Yeah, me too.
But
to be fair.
So you grew up in Montreal, but then you also lived in places like the UK, Cali, Portland. How do you think living in those different spaces kind of influenced the way you perceive music and the way you work with music? Because I feel like each place has a different vibe to it. So has that like impacted you at all?
I think it's a really smart question again. But yeah, I feel like when in California, you feel the sunlight, the lightness, and the more playful, naive kid style that's in me, like a kid with crayons. And then Portland was heavy on my Chiron Pluto lines, if you're into astrocartography. So I'm like, oh shit, this is true. Like it's hitting my inner wounds and like working in my solitude and like seeking self-validation rather than external validation, and really just writing songs for me. Where California is more like in the playful, catchy songs. And then the UK is really, I love the punk rock history and fashion history in the UK. So that's also like the Kooks, you know, and like the Strokes and all the British bands that I really, really love, and definitely influence my more rebel side, where I really want to be like feminine rage. My national anthem is Halsey's Nightmare Song.
Okay, yes.
And
so good.
And like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is it. Like this right here. Oh, no, I just want to like...
So talking about your own music, your latest single is called Bittersweet. What inspired that title and the single within itself?
Yes. I feel like I've been reflecting a lot on past relationships, and I have a tendency in the past especially to like be self-sacrificing in relationships and kind of forget myself, which is terrible because I'm such a free spirit, independent kind of person. But then I would end up catering to like these wounded birds kind of metaphor, and lose myself. And then it's like, is this love, or is it just like what I was shown growing up? And getting away from that is kind of a lot of work and calling yourself out on your bullshit. And I wanted to capture a little bit of that naive feeling of falling in love and how it's the end of the world. Like it feels like the world is ending, especially when you're younger and you fall in love and it's like, oh my God, like this is all I ever wanted, is to be consumed by love and like have a cosmic fusion with someone and feel deeply understood and loved for all the ugly in me.
Yeah.
Because I do that for people. And it's like talking about youth, because in French it's like when we're young, we like fall in love and it's like the end of the world. And I'm missing all your cherry coke kisses. And it was kind of like trying to make it light, but it's still me reflecting on those feelings and trying to admit that I do feel deeply and be like, it's okay. Like, I love being cheesy. It's okay.
No, I feel that. And so you kind of spoke about this a little bit, but you describe yourself as an advocate for the rebels and underdogs. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I love, I got kicked out of kindergarten for asking too many questions.
Wow.
Which is weird.
Yeah, that's you would want kids to like ask questions.
Yeah, to be curious.
Yeah.
Right? But it was, and I don't have anything against any religion. It's just, I was young into this world and we're talking about God and they were like kind of forcing it on us as kids. And I was just like, why are we wasting all our day talking about this man I've never met and I have no proof exists? Like as a kid, I was just like,
yeah, it's a valid question.
What? And I was like, I don't want to read the Bible. I want to go play with crayons. And I got kicked out of class for being disruptive. And I think I just deeply relate to people that ask questions and force their own way. And I hate rules. You know, to be a famous musician, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
To be a famous actor, you have to do this. And it's like, no, you don't. And you don't have to sell your soul, which is like going against your integrity. People take it like metaphor, like literally, but it's a metaphor. It's like, I'm an actor, but I don't do McDonald's commercials. Yeah. Because that's selling your soul. Like, I don't want to do a commercial for something I don't associate with, you know? So yeah, I feel like it's important to have people that disrupt the system because it's kind of broken and there's a lot of things in our society that like are not working and it's gonna collapse and it has to collapse because so much is not okay. So like I'm like, you know what, the underdog, I root for the person who feels misunderstood and who feels like they're not seen or valued.
And if someone's listening to this right now and they're like an independent artist and they are kind of in that space where they feel like what they're doing is not working for them and they don't know how to get to that place that they're like content with themselves, what advice would you give to them?
Gosh, there are so many things I could say. It depends like what the venue is, but it kind of still interconnects. If you know there's something that you love and you want to achieve that goal, you have to do what 99% of people are not willing to do, which is put in the work. And you have to show up. It'd be 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes, you have to show up. And you have to call yourself out on your broken patterns and your bullshit. And you know all the answers. So like all the answers are within us. We just have to admit it. Because if you do sit down, you're like, what do I want to do in life? You know how to get there, literally, if you are honest with yourself. So it's like, okay, write it down on a board, pictures, whatever. Help yourself visualize it in an external way. So like, these are my goals for the year, and they're by category. What can you do to achieve those goals? That'll help you be organized and more precise in like how to get there. Financially, I get it. I don't come from a wealthy family. It sucks. There are so many music videos I'd like to make. It's so hard to get financing and stuff like that. But there are so many different things you can do and focus on. And if you just like making music, you don't have to be prestigious. You don't have to impress people. Just make music. And, you know, I've heard like so many things like, oh, you have to have followings to make shows. And it's like, put yourself out there, go to an open bar, call a venue, you know, perform for them. If they like your music, you can play. I've done it. I've played in front of 4,000 people that did not know me in LA. And it was for a benefit to help with homelessness and stuff like that. And it's just like, when there's a will, there's a way, and don't let anyone put doubt in your mind. Anyone who makes you feel small does not deserve to be around you. And people will speak their own insecurities onto your goals.
Yeah.
So it's important that there are people you don't have to share with this information, and sometimes family dynamics are difficult. I told this to my parents, which changed my life. It's before going to LA. I said, if you do not want my happiness, I don't need you in my life just because you birthed me.
Yeah.
I live for myself. When you die,
And you just have yourself.
I only have myself. I can't live for you.
Yeah.
If you did not live your life for yourself, that's not my responsibility. So I feel like, yeah, just being honest with yourself and putting in the work. There's no magic to it.
Yeah. And as someone who is an independent artist and does a lot of the stuff for themselves, how do you go about like marketing when like a single comes out or things like that, like promoting it when you just got yourself?
I feel so bad. I feel unconventional in the
That's okay.
I feel unconventional because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It is so exhausting. And like, sure, I could do more TikToks. I could do more videos and stuff like that, but I don't want to.
Yeah. And if you don't want to, don't do it.
It just doesn't speak to me. I do feel that like networking is the most important thing in life. Even when we're, the oddball that likes to stay at home, it's so important to put yourself out of your comfort zone and just meet people. I met Gabriela Ono in LA, and we shot like a web series, and because of her, she liked my music and presented it to a film student. He recorded my music video for free. So, you never know who you're meeting, and like, I'm not saying you have to be nice because you never know, but like you should always be nice with people.
Unless someone gives you a reason to not be, then like just be nice. You never know what someone's going through.
Exactly. And we all have bad days.
Yeah.
I can be a total bitch.
Oh, me too.
Like firsthand.
Yeah.
So like you never know what networking is gonna bring to you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what's next for you in your musical journey? Do you have any things coming out? Do you have any shows coming up? What's the vibes for you?
Yes. Well, I am working on the idea of another more punk rock, grunge, alternative, I don't know how to label these, album.
Okay.
Because I'm recording Bright Side with Albie Pass and Jeffrey D. Lang, who's my drummer for the sessions. They're really nice. We recorded Spiderweb together.
Okay.
So that's the kind of sound.
Yeah.
I'm a huge 80s, 90s fans, so it just makes sense to feed that inner child of mine that's 100%. Like, revolt. I'm in the teenage phase now.
I love that.
I'm in the teenage phase now. So that, I want to play more shows. I am going to, and I'm already potentially booked as the monthly artist. I can't say it because it's not official.
I'll share it when it's out.
But like when it's out, like it'll be a 45-minute show. It's free. So it's a free show. And
we love that.
Yeah, it's songs mostly from my first album. Bright Side is going to be played live though, because I love that song. It's such a in-your-face song.
Yeah, it's a fun song in general, but I feel like live, I haven't seen it yet, but like live, I feel like it'll be even like more fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. It gets good reactions, even at open mics where like people don't know me, but I feel like people are always nice at open mics.
I feel like I love going to, not all the time, but I love going to open mics and like discovering new artists, and like even in general, like for tours, for example, when people skip the opening act, I'm always like so mad about that, because I'm
it's so rude.
Yeah, I'm like, one, like just because you might not know them doesn't mean they're not good, and two, like for example, for Olivia Rodrigo, Chappell Roan was her opening act, and no one knew who she was, so a lot of people skipped, and I didn't know who she was at that time either, and I was like, whoa, this person is so cool, and then I got to say I saw Chappell Roan before she became Chappell Roan, and like you just never know if someone will become like one of your favorite artists just because they were an opener.
Oh my god, yeah, like I went to a show recently, and the opener, no one was giving any energy, and I'm like, this is so rude.
Yeah.
I did have a bad experience at an open mic, but it gave me fuel where like these two girls, the moment I started singing, were like, ugh.
Oh my god.
And they like started talking so loudly, and I laughed. Like I literally giggled. I feel like I have the recording of me giggling, and I just like sung louder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're going to these places and you know, like, you might not love every single act, and that's okay.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, I'm just like, this is
Yeah.
the point of this. Like, ugh, everyone makes me mad. Anyways.
It makes me so
Yeah.
mad.
So my last question for you is, since this interview series is called Behind the Music, if you can bring someone behind the music with you for a day, whether it to see like the songwriting process or the production process or whatever it may be, what would you want to show them?
Ooh, nothing. I'm joking. It depends who, what, why. It's so different every time.
Yeah.
Like every time, because like Trash Man, I was taking out the trash, and I just wrote that song.
Okay.
As I'm the trash man taking out the trash. Heaven was a dream, so I just woke up and recorded it, and it was done. And then Look at My Pretty Flower. The commercial name is more like Keeps Getting Better. That one took 3.5 years to write, so it would be hard. I don't know. I feel very like self-aware when people are there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what you expect, because it's not that crazy, and I don't feel like a savant. Like my friend Fred, who produces music, he also does the Fortnite music.
Okay.
He's like really like good with it sounding like the billboards, but he works completely different from me. So he'll do the entire instrumentals with no lyrics.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, I've never written or produced a song, but I would think like I would need lyrics, or at least some.
Something, yeah. So he's the opposite of me. So he does all the instrumentals, lays them out down. He's like, all right, sing. He already has like the formula of his song, and I'm like, I hear words in my head, or like melodies.
Yeah.
And I just write the words, change the melodies, and then figure out what instrumental fits to it.
Yeah, I would assume that's how it's done.
I was mind blown. I was like, oh, people work like that. That's insane.
Yeah.
He's a Gemini.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this. If someone doesn't know you yet and wants to listen to your stuff, where can they find you? Where can they follow you to see your journey and that free show that might be coming?
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere. I'm on Spotify and Bandcamp, Patreon, YouTube. All
the things.
boring.
I'll leave them all in the description below.
But thank you, Amanda,
Of
for doing interviews with artists. I think you're such an essential part to the industry, and like connecting people that don't know artists with their music and everything. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be here with you.
Thank
You're
you.
lovely. She's a Taurus.
Yes.
Amazing. All the Amandas I know are Tauruses.
For real?
Every
That's
single, I
cool.
only know 3, to be fair,
But still,
they're
the
all
fact that we're
Taurus.
all Tauruses, crazy.
Slay. And we're all queer.
Yes, yes.